In this video, we'll be taking a look at why this chart and this level are the most important for you to be looking at in the markets right now. We'll also be taking a look at our technical analysis levels for the Nasdaq, SP500, gold, Tesla, Bitcoin, and more. Yesterday was an up and down day in the markets, and we'll explain what that means in just a few moments. Stay tuned. All right, guys, well, at the surface, when we look at our heat map for the day, it's clear to see that most things were green, but this is still a story of two markets. The market where everyone is buying the big blue chip companies, and then the market where people are trading the stonks. So we'll take a look at what happened to the stonks a little bit later, but however, the market did recover somewhat, and it hit a critical point where the bulls and the bears are fighting it out for supremacy. And we'll take a look at the S&P 500 later in this video, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about. Microsoft, Apple, Google, they all had a decent return yesterday. We also saw the banks move up quite strongly, and of course, Tesla over here and AMD are probably showing a little bit of what I'm saying with the tale of two markets. Let's now go and have a look at the actual indices, and you'll notice the Nasdaq ended up 0.81%. The IWM or the Russell ended up 1.84%, and it actually came out of the gate very strong, almost hitting 2.6 early in the morning. And then the S&P 500 1.2%. Now, when we were doing our live stream last night, it became pretty clear that this was probably going to happen. And it was very, very clear that we were seeing support hit by all the big blue chip tech stocks, and that a lot of large companies were actually sitting right on SUPs yesterday. So it made sense it was going to bounce. But what happens next will be very important for the markets. We did see Walt Disney come out, Airbnb. We also had a few other earnings. Alibaba Group missed a little bit on its core business, and that sent it down. And when we have a look at the sectors overall, you'll notice that almost every sector actually was up throughout the day, except for energy, struggling a little bit, negative 1.22%. It was the one that, of course, was positive the day before. So the question is, are we in this thing? Are we really sitting where we're going to have a decline continued through May into June, similar to the 2009-2010 scenario? Now, it looks like that could certainly happen, but we need to probably see another bearish signal here at this point in the S&P 500. If this does happen, I still could see some sideways action. We've made a pretty compelling argument on this channel that we'll have a sidewaysy kind of market with relatively little percentage overall gains in the S&P 500, considering where we are already this year. And then, of course, at the end of the year, we should see quite a large rally. Almost every time in these scenarios, rallies have come through into the end of the year. The sector that we're wanting to target, though, is going to be very important, and that is a selection that we need to make as traders and investors. When we take a look here at the dollar index, you can see that it's kind of hovering just above this what was trend line that it broke through. It's consolidating after the jobs numbers, after, of course, the CPI number that came out early. We did have that really nice little market structure down here that led to this increase. And if it breaks through these highs, of course, where does it go? Straight up here into the resistances, 91.40. And that will mean further dollar strength. And at the same time, we're probably going to see weakness in the market. Remember, if you're new to trading or you're new to investing, if the dollar or the US dollar is going up, usually seen as a hedge to the market, then often that means risk off in the actual indices. So S&P 500 often falls at the same time. Let's now take a look at gold. Gold really struggling around here. I'm on the 1 hour chart, just having a look straight at this support. And you can see here that it broke through recently where it made a new trough, and then it came up, tested this resistance, and now it's testing it from the top down. There's two moving averages here on the 1 hour, and there is a chance that it kind of bounces off this zone. A lot of traders, what they'll do is they'll look at a zone like this, they'll look at this resistance, and then if you get a closure above this, they'll take it to the new high. So they'll basically take it back into the 1842. For me, the way I've been looking at this, and I think the way I've been discussing it on the channel, it's all about this 1842 level. And I'm actually waiting for a closure of this on an 8 hour or 4 hour or better. And that will signal to me that this market wants to go to the next resistance, which is straight up here at 1875. So similar to silver, it's basically just looking for a turnaround story. Silver came down to 2670, not quite the 2650 we thought it would bounce off, and it's trying to make it up here. But if we go down to the 1 hour again, you'll notice straight away that this zone is critical. Look at this: support, 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 resistance previously. Very important area to be looking at in silver. I'd love to see a breakout here, retest of that breakout, and then of course further pressure to be put on the 28 during the hashtag silver squeeze that still seems to be trending a little bit in some corners of the internet. Good luck, guys, out there. Let's move over to BTC, because I think Bitcoin has really come under fire since Elon kind of ruined it a few days ago. He really put the pressure on this one. Now, since then, Elon's come out and he's talked about Dogecoin. He said he's in discussions or development about how to improve Dogecoin. That's, of course, sent it up another 8-9 cents or something like that. Very big manipulation going on there. And on top of this, we now have what I would think is going to be a good formation happening on Bitcoin. Basically, we have a resistance, we have 2 levels of support that have come through here, and this 51,000 level that we know, if broken, is going to be very, very strong. This is going to be a double bottom if it can get through 51, and I think that's going to signal further strength in BTC and therefore the crypto markets. When we go over to an 8-hour, it's going to become even more apparent. Check out this close, guys. Beautiful hammer wick. Remember, you get confirmation, you get through that low, my goodness, is it going to be good. It's going to be a really nice double wick rejection kind of play. Hopefully we start to see the BTC really recover, and I quite like that from the way we're looking at in the market right now. Now, the tale of 2 stories. I mentioned it at the start of this video. Unfortunately, hyper stonks are coming under extreme fire. It doesn't matter which one you're in. If you're in any of the retail kind of favored new companies from the last year, all of them are down, and all of them just continuously get hit up in this market. We've now seen Tesla move below 600. So obviously Wall Street's doing rotation, but at the same time, they're really attacking retail investors. Now, with Tesla getting as low as it did yesterday, could it have little jumps? Sure. But this is the type of thing that kind of has me really worried. I mean, this is the last level of a closure before really there's no support all the way down to 500 or 450 for Tesla. Now, I've been talking about this weekly, and at this stage, it looks like the weekly is going to close under 600. That's so important. If it will close under 600, where's the next level of structure? 450 for Tesla. So Tesla bulls, oh boy, do you need Friday to come through big. And can Tesla come through big? Of course. But this stock is really under pressure. And if we think about how much of a percentage down this is going to be from the top, we can see here top to bottom, wow, 50%. So for some people out there, if that had happened, that's a big decline. And some hyper stonks are already down as much as 60% out there. So it's a very, very big pressure zone. Look for the weekly close under 600. I know there's a few guys with puts out there in the community on this stock. I guess they're happy, but people buying it, I can feel their pain a little bit right now on how that's going. US 100, this is not really the best place to start because I think the SP500 is the key zone and level. But you'll notice here yesterday, I just want to talk about how we came into this market. So we came into this market, we're talking about this particular zone. And we're specifically talking about this resistance, this support, and the fact that we closed above it in the futures market. So this really led to me thinking there was a bit of a day trade long here. And more importantly, when we look at the S&P 500, there was a great chance we were going to go retest the 4120, which we did. We actually went a little bit over it. We'll check it out soon. So what happens here in the US 100? Is there any TA that we can do that gives us an idea of what's going on? I would say most likely not. It's not a clear zone either way. It's kind of those 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And yesterday we did this analysis where we kind of went, okay, it's gone down that much. Then in the second one, it went down very, very similar. And we did the QQQ. And then, of course, the third leg from a pullback back up here was going to pull back to around 12.7. We'll go over to the QQQ and I'll point it out a little bit more. So let's take this because this is the real market. Remember, during real trade, not futures. There's the second pull. And then if we think about the market coming up here a little bit, where's the third pull back up into? It pulls back up into around this 307 kind of area, and there's further weakness that could certainly be here. But again, the Nasdaq is not giving us a very clear signal. The QQQ, everything like that, it just kind of looks like a long leg doji like here, where there's indecision. But of course, closure up, we're looking bullish. Closure below, we're looking down to this level, possibly even as low as the 301 here on the QQQ. Let's move over to the US 500, as I think this is where things really get interesting. And this is the better trade yesterday. Remember, you've got to pick your battles. And this one was much more likely. We saw that Nasdaq start to break out, but this move here, the impulse move from about 40.80 to 41.20, was very likely to occur. Now, why did it stop at 41.20? Some people will say, well, the reason why, we had support, resistance. This is such a critical zone for the US 500. And when we move over to the SPX, it's also a critical area. Remember, it's really important to see these types of zones on all of the markets. And if the bears are going to win, they take it down Friday. They basically need to short it Friday from 41.20, and they take this thing down and start to make new lows in the eventuation of this market coming back down to at least the 39 kind of 60 zone, which is also the weekly 20 or the mean reversion on the weekly. Why is this such an important area? Because every single one of these pullbacks has happened back to this 20. So it's not over yet for the bears. You guys are just kind of hibernating right now, finding out whether you want to take it down on Friday. And I think this is a super critical zone with, on the 4 hour, a 20 exponential moving average, the red line, a 50 exponential moving average, the blue line, all acting as dynamic resistance at an incredibly critical area. Everyone can see this area. I'm sure many people are looking at it, and you can see the interaction already with this zone is super important. So let's see what the futures brings throughout the session before Friday. And of course, join us live 1.5 hours early before New York Open, because it is going to be such a big learning curve here, and it's such an important zone for the markets right now. I'll leave you just with this IWM. A few people have been asking me to do the Russell. There are some reasons I haven't been covering the Russell as much, and I think it's because it's kind of like not giving us really great signals. Like, do we have a 208 mega support here for the Russell? Sure. Is this kind of zone where it is right now that important? It's kind of come back up, tested this 215 from the bottom up. And again, it's waiting to see what the SP 500, the most important index, is doing. If you enjoy these videos, please remember to subscribe, smash that like button, guys, and we'll see you in the next video on the weekend, or of course, live 1.5 hours before the market open. Catch you guys.